Hello, listeners. This is Lee Price.
This is Will Ford from Football 365.
And you're listening smartly to At the Bridge Pod, a Chelsea FC podcast, although I would describe it as the Chelsea FC podcast.
Tuchel from Eden Hazard. Kai Havertz in the Champions League final. Ivanovic! In the middle, it's just behind him. But it's tapped in by Hakim Ziyech. Matic with the ball driver. Matic takes the net off.
It's time for another episode of At the Bridge Pod, your number one Chelsea FC podcast. Coming up on this episode,
we are back with another fantasy draft, and this time it's all about if Chelsea were purchased by Todd Boehly in the 2000s. Oh, welcome back everyone to another episode of At the Bridge Pod. I'm joined in a virtual room filled with some lines. I've got Ollie, I've got Berth. It's the Thursday show, and I want to ask you a question. What are you guys looking forward to this weekend? Is it a quiet weekend for us all?
It's a relatively quiet weekend. I remember saying that I was going to watch Cheltenham play last weekend. I didn't get to update on how that went. It was a very, very interesting League One clash. It was 0-0 in the end, but do you know what? It was fun to go see it, and we enjoyed it so much, my dad and I, that we're going to go see Cheltenham play away at Oxford this weekend.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we've got that to look forward to.
That'd be pretty fun. What about you, Berth? Have you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bring the tone down a bit, but obviously this Sunday is Mother's Day, and as most you know, my mum has passed away 5 years ago, so it'd be a bit of a difficult weekend for me. But I'll just spend it with my family, friends, stuff like that, and just sort of chill with them really, and sort of celebrate with them. And I know I'm not the only person. So obviously, last time, mum. So shout out to anyone that's going through that as well. But yeah, it's always a difficult one, but it's it'll be a good one to Yeah. Either way, it'd be a good one. So
yeah. I mean, I know that sort of feeling. Unfortunately, obviously, my mum's all good. That's good. But obviously, last year lost my nan, as some may remember from back in September. So first time without my nan, which obviously impacts my mum and everything. So yeah, I understand that, Berth. I do, and I know many listeners will as well. It sucks, and you just have to. Have good family around you, good friends. That is what's important,
Yeah, and a good podcast as well.
Damn
exactly.
right. Bloody damn right.
If you're feeling low, just come into the Discord and have a chat with people.
Exactly.
Because the community's on there is good. The people are really nice, and who knows, you might even learn something.
That is true. Right, so let's hit some news. Let's check out what you may have missed in the elevator of Chelsea news. Victor Osimhen and Benjamin Sesko are among Chelsea's top targets for an out-and-out striker. Nico Williams is on Chelsea's radar as the club begin to draw up their summer transfer plans. Blueco, 22, the company which Clearlake Capital and Todd Boehly bought Chelsea and Strasbourg with, has announced a loss of $653 million from March 22 through to June 23. We're still in the elevator, no talks. But they've also announced Chelsea made a loss of $90.1 million for the same period, up to June 30th. And finally, Thomas Tuchel is closely monitoring what's happening at Chelsea. He's obviously not resentful and hasn't closed to the idea of returning to Todd Boehly, who obviously understood that his club was doing better with Tuchel on his bench. But we'll get into that come Quaresma's questions. And as much as I complained in the group chat about this bloody money, financial... I mean, there is some context to this. We will talk about that. It says, when I dug into it, Chelsea's pre-tax loss in the past 12 months is 90.1 million compared to 121.4 the previous year. Chelsea's overall revenue grew from 481.3 to 512.5. Made profits on disposal of player registrations and fixed assets of 142.2 million. And they also increased commercial revenue from 33 to apparently 210 million. I know, listeners, you've already switched off, but if you haven't, what do we make of it?
Good for the timestamps. This people who don't want to hear about this.
Yeah, it's really good. Skip.
The problem with this is that I don't want to hear about this. So
I know there are no timestamps for you, but if you have,
how do I skip this? Can I just come back in 5 minutes time?
Yeah, I know the vibe. I know the vibe. hey, because we're recording on a Thursday, there is a live game going on. So how about Roma are smacking Brighton for 4, our sister club. Oh, and Lukaku has scored. Of course he has, because
Have that, Tony Bloom. Have it.
Right.
Anyway.
No,
I will talk about it really quick. Just help placate people's fears and stuff. So Chelsea's operating loss of being about 90 million for the last 12 months is in line with the current PSR regulations, at least for this last 12-month period. I don't know about the two before that or the two hence, but for me it's actually a good sign of things moving in the right direction. People see big numbers and they get very scared, but you've got to remember that actually no one, and I really mean this, nobody who puts out these numbers and stuff on social media has any clue what they're talking about. None of them.
You mean they want clicks?
Well, no, the reason being is just because the actual accounts haven't been released yet. We can't know. Only people at Chelsea can really know what the state of the money side is of things. And we're just going to have to put some faith in that. So don't stress out until things are actually concrete and come out. There's going to be a lot more fear mongering, a bit like there was last season before June 30th this season. So just tune it out if you can.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about Nico Williams replacing Raheem Sterling. I did read this, and I will start with Raheem Sterling. I mean, he's got potentially one last World Cup ahead of him, I'd say, but obviously if he does move to Saudi Arabia this summer, that's going to seriously jeopardise his chance of making it into the England squad. I mean, then you've got to ask, would Sterling even consider the offer? I mean, it's got to be a substantial one for him to be tempted, especially.
I'm not sure he'd go.
Well, considering his chances of making the England squad for the Euros is very slim, let alone the World Cup. I mean, a move to Saudi Arabia would effectively slam that door in his face, knocking him flying, along with his hopes of participating in that World Cup. I mean, we see the Sterling. The problem with Sterling is that he's just so inconsistent, and right now I don't feel he can justify his presence in the squad. Every game for him's it's like a loot box. Fuck knows what you're going to get out of it. You have no idea. I mean, his quality is...
but it's usually disappointing.
Yeah, exactly. Look, his quality is, to me, undeniable. Yes. But he often falls short of justifying his position when he plays. And he's meant to be our star player. I know some people are laughing, but he is meant to be the star player because he's paid as such with his money. And he's one of the top earners, and yet he struggles to consistently demonstrate that quality on the pitch. I mean... What do you think on Sterling first?
I tend to agree with you, Mikey, that I actually think he's going to go to Saudi Arabia. I think.
Oh, okay.
I think the fact that he doesn't appear to be in Gareth Southgate's plans, and let's be honest, I think there are better options now on the wing for England than Sterling. I think his time has gone now. You look at all the options we've got; we are quite stacked in that area now. And so, if your main aim is to be in the national squad, if that's gone now, what's your main aim in a job? What's your main role to do in a job? That's earn the most money. And let's be honest, if he goes to Saudi Arabia, he's going to earn absolutely tons and tons of money.
He earns tons of money here.
Yeah, I totally agree. But the money here, so 300k a week here, tell over to Saudi Arabia, he's going to be earning 600, 700k a week. That's a lot.
But you got to remember the length of the contract. He's on a longer deal here than he would be in Saudi. You do like a 1 or 2 year deal out there. Then he has to come back to the UK and get on the Chelsea level wages again, which I just don't see ever happening.
I think Sterling's just going to wind down now. I think his career is slowly winding down. I can see him going to Saudi Arabia, then I can see him going to the MLS. I really can't see it happening.
I mean, it's a really classic. It's a classic thing said before this sort of thing blows up in people's faces. So do remember this, listeners. But I don't know. For me, he just doesn't seem like that kind of person. I don't know. He seems like a guy who has quite a lot of courage in his convictions. I don't know. Maybe he would.
Look,
he wouldn't.
I've always liked Sterling. I've really always liked Sterling. I've always thought, he's a great professional. I've always thought he's been a bit of a scapegoat. He's
always looked out for people in the game and stuff.
Yeah.
So the only thing is with sort of the Saudi concept is the only thing that would disagree with him is kind of who he is as a person. And that's the only reason I could say that he wouldn't go.
At the same time, N'Golo Kante went over there. Jordan
Yeah,
Henderson
that's
went over there.
that's
I know
a good
Henderson
point.
came to Ajax, but
I was going to say Henderson's fallout speaks for itself. And to be fair, we don't know what Kante believes in. So
yeah,
but at the same time, like you can't judge a player or a person for going to want to make more money. I think in a job,
you really can't. And to be fair, it's fair play to him if he wants to go. I'm just thinking, of my opinion is that I just don't think he's the kind of player that would.
okay.
I think he feels like he'd still have a chance to get back in the England squad, like you said, Mike. And if you slam the door shut on that, like you say, by going to Saudi, then he's really got no hope of getting back unless he pulls a Henderson. And to be honest, you already kind of have to be liked by Southgate for that. So
Yeah, that's true. Right, now it's time for Nico. Maybe should we offer Bilbao Raheem Sterling and a 2025 second round pick for Nico Williams? Everyone's happy with that trade.
Let's offer him Raheem Sterling and then pay them 200 million, and that will probably be about what.
Well, I'm glad you brought up money because he has a release clause, as all La Liga players do. It's approximately 43 million, so it's not too bad. It's relatively affordable if we want to bring
close to the magic range.
It is.
Yeah,
however,
it is.
I did my research. His hefty wage demands could be a problem because the reports that I've read said Williams earns over 100,000 per week after tax. Now, Spain's tax rate is about 45 to 50 on this. So that's a pre-tax income like ranging of 200 to 250.
It'd be very high for a player like him only at Bilbao, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the question is, well, we must ask this is, does his performance justify exceeding the wage budget at the moment? I mean, it's important to remember this dude's he's not a goal scorer, he's a creator. We have a lot of those, unfortunately. And 6 goals in 27, but 11 assists in 27 for this season. So there you go, creator. And he plays on the left or the right-hand side. So if you bring him in, then I'm going to assume one of Sterling, Mudryk, or Madueke have got to go.
Yeah,
the thing is,
I think it would surely spell the end for Sterling if he did come in.
If anyone would take his wage.
But the thing is, though, that's not a like for like for Sterling, is it?
No, not as a goal scorer.
Sterling is, put all our wingers into one. If you used to pick the goal scorer out of all of our wingers, I know Palmer's done well, but you'd say Sterling was sort of the finisher out of the lot. Whereas I don't think Nico Williams coming in would be a like for like. I just feel like you need an inside forward that will get goals, will get 10, 15 goals a season. Like Sterling can do, sort of thing.
I'm fully with you both because I actually have a better suggestion than Nico Williams. Nico Williams, fantastic player, but is he better than Michael Olise?
Or here's one for you: is he better than Jared Bowen? No.
Yeah, even Jared Bowen would be an interesting shout. I think he probably is better than Jared Bowen on balance, but certainly Olise.
Is he?
Well, I think he probably is. It depends about impact and stuff, doesn't it? But in terms of Michael Olise, I think he'd be a better candidate, personally.
Okay. Okay.
I know, obviously Williams is still young and Olise is a bit older than that.
I agree, by the way.
But he is Premier League proven, and like he
That's
knows
the thing, isn't it?
He knows the league really well, and he's been regularly torching up like Liverpool and Man City and stuff for so long. And he's been at Palace for a long time. We almost got him last season, so we've already got the interest in him. For me, if you're looking at someone who's more of a creator but still kind of has a bit of that goal threat, he seems like the better option to me and the more realistic one as well.
Okay. Hey, step up to the podium because we are back with another fantasy draft. And brace yourself, listeners. This one I feel is going to be our greatest yet. So you got to picture this for a minute. What if Todd Boehly and Clearlake had swooped in to purchase Chelsea back in the iconic era of the 2000s instead of obviously the legend that was for us, Roman Abramovich? So let's take a bit of a nostalgic trip down memory lane to the days of you had Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, you had the birth of the iPod, the rise of reality TV, and the emergence of the special one himself. Now, the concept is, look, we know Todd Boehly wants to sign all the wonder kids from around the globe in the 2020s, but what were the teenage sensations and budding prodigies that he would have bought in the 2000s? So, listeners, welcome to the wonder kids Todd Boehly's Chelsea would have signed in the 2000s draft. Now, usual draft rules do apply. That's 3 picks each. It's a snake draft. And without any more waffling from me, the first pick. Now, I have not done a randomizer. So do we go alphabetical and go B-O me? No. Oh, is B-O me. You know what? I will go Berth, you, Ollie, then me. I will take it at the end. So, Berth.
I'm never first.
Hey, if you want to trade your pick back, you can do.
I'll happily take first off you, Berth, if you want.
Berth, who's your first pick?
This is really like just so difficult because there's so many good youngsters from the 2000s. But
I struggled a bit with this, you know.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? But I'm going to go for a player that was big in 2000, turned out to have an unbelievable career.
Oh.
If we'd have got him, what a player. And that's Zlatan.
Wow.
It's a good one.
Wow.
I could have seen us going in for him back then.
When he was young, I can just see Boehly just be like, oh my God. Considering we would have always seemed to need a striker, I think Boehly would have fell in love with Zlatan because like the brand, the big wages, the big fee, that big player, I think he would have loved him. I think he would have spent 100 million on him, or back then about 40 million.
Yeah.
well, he joined Juve from Ajax for 16 million euros. So
he would have paid about 33.
Yeah, he would have paid about 40, 50.
I mean, funny you say about that. I mean, at the end of the first season there, Real Madrid made a 70 million offer. That was then.
There we go. There we go.
Wow. I mean, that is a lot of money back then. Obviously, we know why he left Juventus when they got relegated. But yeah, I mean, he was incredible for Ajax. Oh my word.
But he was incredible everywhere he went, really.
Yeah. He was, even at Barca, I know people say he flopped. Did he, though? Have a look at what he accomplished. He was pretty good.
He's one of the few players to play for both Milans as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good shout. And it's sort of, you're going to be interested by mine because I would say none of mine hit the highlights. None of mine are superstars now. Like at all.
Interesting, because all right, I'll jump onto my first one then because I'm quite similar with you, Mikey. I don't think most of mine, 2 of my 3 haven't hit the highlights. I would say. My first one I'm going to go for is it's a really, really classic failed wonder kid. We probably all know who he is, Freddie Adu.
I knew he'd get a shout. I knew it.
I just thought he'd be such a good pick because obviously he was first spotted when he was like 14. And that is exactly the sort of thing Boehly would have pulled the trigger on financially as well. Like some promising 14-year-old kid. Yeah, why not? Let's get him in, see how he does. And it would have been an absolute disaster for us. So,
yeah, I mean, he really was a number 1 overall pick. He was in the 2004 MLS
people were literally calling him the next Pele.
Yeah. I mean, the pressure to put that on a 14-year-old. Oh, yeah.
Is there any wonder he didn't really succeed?
What a wild statement. I mean,
Kids these days struggle with their GCSEs. Can you imagine that kind of expectation?
I've just pulled up the Super Draft for that year, the top 10. There is a very, very, very iconic name in the top 10 that went to New England Revolution at 8. And I would argue he's one of America's best exports. He's that good. And that was Clint Dempsey. He was there at 8. Oof. What an absolute signing that they pulled off. But the rest, it's just so... I'm just going round 2. There's not really anyone that stands out. Round 3, no. Round 4.
Mikey, the listeners are getting bored.
I know. Oh, round 4 had Michael Bradley. There's another one.
Michael Bradley. Is it son of Bob Bradley?
Bob Bradley, yes.
Yeah.
The former, was he Swansea coach for a while?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Right. So it's my pick. And my first pick of this draft is Lilinya. Do you remember him? Lilinya.
No.
Right.
No.
This dude deserves to be the first off my draft board because he is the perfect Boehly signing. He's from South America. He had an outstanding youth career and did nothing as a senior. There we go. So I've got my justification out of the way. Why? So mid-2000s, Brazilian striker. He emerged as like this next big talent in the game. He captured the attention of multiple clubs in Europe with he was just show-stopping his performances were at youth level. and he had a keen eye for goal, and his footwork was reminiscent of his compatriots. And he was heralded as the next great Brazilian sensation. And he drew comparisons with Ronaldinho and the original Ronaldo.
There's been quite a few of those, haven't there?
Oh, yeah.
When you think about it, there's been a lot of like, this is the next, and a lot of them are Brazilian as well.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, there was a battle between Barcelona and Milan for his signature. And there was hype. He was going to go to Europe, but he signs a new deal at Corinthians, and they set a price tag at 24 million. And guess who sent scouts to watch him?
Did we send scouts?
We did indeed.
Wow.
But after that new deal with Corinthians, it sort of went downward because Corinthians went into a bit of a spiral, and he ended up scoring 4 in 85. So his goal scoring touch that he had at youth level just vanished, and he never did go to a European
side. Sounds like
side.
he really was a Chelsea striker.
But you're still thinking, I don't see why Todd would have signed him. Well, he scored 16 in 16 for the Brazilian under-17 side. He scored 12 in 9 at the South American under-17 championship, in which Brazil won. There you go.
Yeah,
he would have definitely been signed. 100%. So, yeah, he's still actually playing. He's 33, so he's probably not in the profile now of, what Boehly would buy, but I feel like he'd definitely
Friend of the show, though.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, we'll go. Lulinya. I really hope that that's how you pronounce his name. I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm trusting you here because I've never heard of him. So...
Have you not?
No,
he was like a football manager, like icon. You know what?
That explains it.
I've heard of the name, but I'm not familiar with his work. Put it that way.
How to pronounce footballers' names? Let's hear it.
Lulina.
Yeah, I was right.
Lulina. Okay, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the snake draft goes back to me, and I've got Francis Jeffers.
Oh, what a player.
That's a good shout.
What a player.
Why?
A good shout.
Why? Well, in 2024, who have we been linked with that's the next hottish British forward? Evan Ferguson.
Francis Jeffers. Oh.
Well, we haven't been linked with him now. Now, Evan Ferguson is the hottest British forward right now. Who the hottest one was back in the noughties? Francis Jeffers of Everton.
David Beckham, what a man.
Because Jeff has garnered attention because he was a prolific goal scorer, and his potential, he was seen as part of this golden generation of England as the striker. And he had that natural instinct, and he really did in front of the goal. He had pace, he had precision in his finishing. I mean, that's what we need right now. And he was just such a prospect that every club in England wanted. And I could just see Boehly doing battle with Arsenal for his signing. In reality, obviously, Jeffers did go to Arsenal from Everton in 2001 for 8 million.
Yeah, now, there he put the stinking instinct, didn't he?
I mean, 8 million in... I put it through the calculator on... I can't remember what site it was. I've wrote it down. Look at me. Thank you, Mike, from the past. It's the transfer index on Totally Money. And 8 million in 2001 for football inflation works out at 35 million today. It's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. I mean,
right in the magic range.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, back in the day, Francis Jeffers was actually
he was good,
really good. He was very good for Everton. Very good.
I mean, why is he in my pick for my draft? Because did he succeed? No, he struggled to meet the expectations. Injuries impeded his development. So again, very Chelsea. And he couldn't secure a consistent spot in the Arsenal 11 because of it. And his form waned, his confidence dwindled, and then he just had loan moves and permanent transfers till, he retired. I mean, it's a bit of a shame because he really was seen as this next big wonder kid. I mean, you probably signed him on like Championship Manager back in the day. But if you look at his career after Arsenal, it was Everton on loan again, Charlton, Rangers, Blackburn, Ipswich, Sheffield, Newcastle Jets, Motherwell, Newcastle Jets, Floriana, and then he finished his career at Accrington Stanley. But he never hit the goal-scoring form that he did for Everton originally.
It's crazy to think how football works on such fine margins like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Where he really could have been one of the best strikers of the generation, and it just never came for him for one reason or another.
No. And again, he's again a typical Boehly signing because he was in the under-21s for England. He had 13 in 16.
Mad, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's a record he shared with Shearer. So you could sort of see why we would go, yeah. But hey, look, he did get
Evan
one.
Ferguson's a good comparison, actually.
Well, hopefully he has a better career. But
yeah, but that's sort of the promising at the start, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. He has one England cap, and he scored on his debut against Australia in that cap. But that was it. That's it. So
good on you, Francis.
Yeah. Right. Ollie, who's your second pick?
In honor of Chris, I've picked someone who he talks about sometimes, and that is the Man United and Brazil sensation Kleberson.
Oh, good shout. Love it. Yeah. Love that.
Not, because obviously if I'm right in saying, like, he got his move around the World Cup, like he played for Brazil, did really well, or was in the squad at least, won the World Cup with Brazil, and then I can't remember if he moved to United or he got a move from them, but the hype around him was big. I remember seeing his name in the papers and stuff, even when I was really, really little. And he just strikes me as the sort of player we would buy without doing any due diligence on him whatsoever. Like it just seems to me that he would be exactly the kind of player you would Boehly would buy in the 2000s, because he was terrible.
Well, he was so good for, like, in Brazil. And
yeah, but exactly. You've got the World Cup tax on top of that as well. Like, it's going to be. He would just. Our fans would never ever be able to say he was bad, and he was genuinely terrible.
Yeah, I mean, reason the World Cup. I think that back then the reason that Kleberson maybe swayed the United board to bring him in was because he pocketed Paul Scholes in that World Cup, and because he did that, it was like, you know what, this guy, if he can pocket Scholes, who's one of our great players, we have to bring him in. I mean, oh my word, what an absolute dreadful signing in hindsight. I mean, bloody hell.
It was bad, wasn't he?
You think you're getting one type of player and you have it just blows my mind. But that's why I sort of feel that, I feel that he had such a good tournament, but every time the England game, he pockets Scholes, but obviously no one remembers that. They remember Ronaldinho's free kick. He has an absolute great final, but no one remembers that. They remember Ronaldo scoring twice.
Thing is, though, in hindsight, when you look at that Brazil team, you look at all the players there.
I could have played in that Brazil team and looked decent.
Yeah, a plank of wood could have been in that midfield, and they still would have won the World Cup.
Oh, right. Berth, who have you got?
This player, right, could have been an unbelievable player. Dean Ashton.
Oh,
good shout.
Yeah, very good player.
Now, what is the first thing you think of when it comes to Dean Ashton?
Injuries.
Exactly. So he'd fit perfectly with this Chelsea team right now, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would be perfect. He'd be our goal scorer who never plays.
He'd get 2 goals in 2 games and get injured for about 3 months, come back, get injured again, come back, get injured again. And it's a real shame because obviously the talent's there, perfect, young guy back in the day, and he would have been perfect for Todd Boehly. Perfect for us, gave him the number 9, and he would not have played for us. So for me, Dean Ashton, who, by the way, scored one of the best overhead kicks I've ever seen.
Oh, what a goal.
Which counted for nothing because the last 6-1 that game. But I just think what a perfect signing he would have been under Todd Boehly. Like, everything that you look at in Nkunku, you can compare him to Dean Ashton. I know Dean Ashton had a real bad leg injury, but the injuries before that, you can compare him to Nkunku, and yeah, it just fits the mold of a Todd Boehly signing. So
I mean, everyone remembers that he was never the same after Wright Phillips tackled him and broke his ankle in training for England.
I mean, by the sounds of it, it's one of the worst breaks you could have had, really.
Imagine getting a break that bad from a player as mid as Wright Phillips on international duty as well. Oh, that's got to be devastating.
Such a shame.
Was he 26 when he retired?
Yeah, he wasn't very old at all, was he?
I'm sure he was 26.
Let me just pull up his page. It was 2009 that he retired, so he would have been, 26. Wow.
That's How crazy. Mad is that?
Yeah.
How mad is that?
Robbed of a generational talent.
Yeah. Oh, for certain.
He was really good back in the day. Like, I mean, when you think of Dean Ashton, you don't think like this wonder kid, but he was actually very, very talented.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame that he...
And
It's a new phrase, really, isn't it? Wonder Kid that's sort of come around in the last 10 years or so.
And just for, the people that think, but would he have been a Todd Boehly signing? Under 19s, England record 5-5.
There you go.
Signed.
There we
right,
go.
Berth, who's your final selection?
See, this is difficult because I was really struggling here. But I'm going to go with... Who do I go with here? I'm going to go with another striker. I'm going to finish it off with another striker. 3 strikers. Jeremy Ali-Adair.
Oh, yes. Lovely, lovely signing.
Just an absolute flop all round, isn't he, really? A striker that doesn't really get any goals, isn't prolific, had a big build when he was young, but actually wasn't that good. And you could just see Todd Boehly looking at him going, yep, that's our number 9. So for that, he has to be in there for me.
He played 3 games in the Invincibles team.
Isn't that mad?
Wait, hang on. No,
hang on. Did he get a medal for that?
Yes. Sorry, I was incorrect. It was 10 games in that season.
Yeah. Isn't that mad?
Just goes to show anyone could have played in that team.
How many goals did he get in that season?
I don't know, but I'm about to check. I've got to check now you've said it. He scored a grand total. Francis Jeffers got no appearances that season. Probably injured. Ali got, no.
See, perfect Todd Boehly signing. A striker that doesn't get goals.
10 appearances. Hang on. According to this, he had more Premier League appearances than Kanu. Oh, the same as Kanu. Wow. That doesn't ring well in my head, but it's there. Wow. I'm really blown away by that. Bloody hell.
Doesn't sound right, does it?
No, it doesn't feel right at all. Kanu scored though. So
yeah, that's true.
There you
Most
go.
people did score more than Ali-Adair, to be fair, but
I'm just looking who scored more than him that season.
Any player that scored 1.
Anyone that scored 1. Right. Right. Ollie, who's your final pick?
This is a good one. He was my top pick, and I decided to leave him till last to see if he would get chosen, and he hasn't, which is great. I think this guy really shows what a Boehly signing like back then would have been. This guy's got a mad amount of pace, which we've seen in Mudryk. We bought him from a rival. We would have bought him from a rival, or battling for him for a rival, a little bit like Mudryk as well. Also like Mudryk, he's one of the fastest players anyone's ever watched. It's Theo Walcott.
Oh,
what a great shout!
Great shout. I love that.
Burst onto the scene so young at Southampton and at Arsenal. Boehly would have been all over it, training with the first team or whatever when you're 16 years old, and then coming on to the pitch and playing really illustrious career. And he's been decent, throughout his career. Probably could have done a bit more. Also, kind of played with injuries as well throughout his career. So, yeah, another reason why he would be a very apt noughties wonder kid signing for Chelsea.
Yeah. I mean, Theo Walcott. Obviously, there was a battle for him for his signing when Southampton signed him, because it was between Southampton and Chelsea. They both wanted to sign him as a youth player, and Southampton won. And then they've done really well, Southampton have, for youth players when you think about it.
Boehly wouldn't have let that happen. He would have paid 146 million for him.
How much? He paid 5 million in 2006. Arsenal did, rising to 12 depending on appearances.
Yeah, we probably would have bought him for like 10, 15. I could see it.
I mean, he had a good, pretty fair career. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, not a bad player at all.
Yeah, he was all right, weren't he? He weren't bad.
Yeah, I think he's one of those players who could have been so much more. But again, if anything, that just makes him more like our signings, not less.
Yeah, according to his wiki page, he has published 4 books.
Has he? Wow. Fuck.
It says here he's published 4 books.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Hang on. They're really good. TJ and the hat trick, TJ and the penalty, TJ and the winning goal, and TJ and the cup run.
They're like, what though? Fair enough. Yeah. Right.
You know what? He does come across as quite a smart guy, though. Quite a clever guy.
And before people give him some stick, they're children's books. Not everything has to be for the adults. Come on.
It's for Harry Kane.
It's for bloody hell. Oh my word. Right. with my final pick, I cannot believe I get to say his name. He was actually my first name on the board. He was, but I thought, no, I'll leave him to the end because do you remember a guy called Matteo Brigi?
No way.
I have no idea who that is.
This is niche. Right. It's no secret that Boehly's team seemed to be leveraging a bit of Football Manager to unearth the so-called hidden gems of 2024. Now, in 2003, I put my mind in his and I thought, what was the game, the spotlight? What would you have used? It would have been FIFA. It would have been a FIFA franchise. So, Brigi deserves a...
Oh, was he? Was he? Sorry. Was he the third highest rated player on that game
the
that year?
Second highest rating in FIFA history.
Yes.
Now, this was at the time of the game's release. Brigi had just clinched the Serie A Young Player of the Year award because he had an absolute outstanding season under Francesco Guidolin at Bologna, which, you know, remember his Swansea fame. He was on loan from Juve, so again, super club. And it was pivotal because it propelled him into that limelight as one of the hottest promising talents. And he teamed up with Andrea Pirlo in midfield to play an incredibly important role as Italy's under-21s made a deep run in the Euro Championships. So much so, Juve's chief at the time, Luciano Moggi, said, Brigi is like Real Madrid's icon, Fernando Redondo. So there you go. You got the hype. You've already got the what he could be and everything. He's a young player. And why is he a perfect Chelsea player? Because he had a string of injuries. He did. And he had some wild club moves, pretty much. I mean, that just threw him miles off his path to stardom. So obviously that sort of community of FIFA did think what could have been. But he is the perfect signing for Boehly, I felt.
I'm just struggling to remember to imagine what an under 21 Pirlo looks like.
I know. Did he have he always had a beard?
That's what I'm thinking. Like in my head, I'm like, because in my head, he's always been like this 38-year-old man who plays football.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my word! I mean, it just blows my mind. And by the way, when I said they went deep run, they won it. They won the under 21s. Hence why, you know, he'd signed him. But I mean, I'm going to curiously look at who was in that team. So, mixed. So that team had Saccardo, Brigi, Gilardino, De Rossi, Balzaghi. That's another one. You can't imagine Balzaghi young. Marco Emilia. Oh, my word.
Oh, wow. Remember him?
Wow. Remember him.
Did he ever win? Because... Was he? Yeah, he was on our books for a year. Didn't play.
He was. I remember he played for us for a season.
Yeah, bloody
I don't think he actually ever played a game.
I don't think he actually started.
No, I mean, I did have one honourable mention. It was Curlon, the seal dribble, because I thought, you know, marketing, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see it.
I don't know what Todd does. Yeah, who knows? Right.
The only other one I thought as well is we would have somehow messed up Josh McEachran again.
Oh yeah,
that was the only other one I was thinking
Bloody
of.
hell.
Because we already had him, we couldn't have signed him. But if we did have him in that area, we would have messed it up again, no matter what.
I honestly did back then believe he was going to be the next like Lampard sort of thing.
I did as well. I thought he was the best thing since sliced bread.
Oh my word, he was. Oh yeah.
But then again, probably a bit like Gal Kakuta. Would have been
I mean, look at Hazard. Hazard said that he was the most talented player he's seen. It didn't work out that way, but hey, you know. Right, there you go. There's our draft. We'd love to hear your suggestions for this. Who you'd be your number one pick? I'd be curious, listeners. Let us know. So, line of the week time. Once the we're welcoming Newcastle to the Bridge for Monday Night Football. Who have you got in mind?
Well, we've got no players. I don't know.
We've got no left backs.
We didn't talk about this at the top of the show, but Chilwell's injured again. Colwell's
got an injury crisis.
Gallagher's probably ill, might be out. Like it's crazy. We've got tons of players are suddenly out again for no reason.
I'm gonna go Cole Palmer.
Oh, okay. I had Robert Sanchez on the wall. Well, he isn't playing.
I'm gonna go with Caicedo. Because at least he'll play.
Oh, no, not Reece James. He's not fit. Oh, yeah. The wheel does not like us today.
Your next one, you've got to pick it, no matter who it is.
Oh, no.
No, it's 3rd and done. 3 and done.
Who is it?
Robert Sanchez again.
No, 3 and done. It's Robert
That's
Sanchez.
it. That's
Robert
it. That's your
Sanchez.
pick.
It's Robert Sanchez. 3 and done.
Come on.
There's
You know
no
what?
rules.
I'll take it. I'll take this. Leo Castledine. I don't think he'll play. But he
You're
might.
probably right.
He might play. I don't know. Castledine. We'll stick with that. Right. Question time. Quaresma's questions, listener questions. We have, first up, we got Nick, who teased it at the beginning of the show. He's asked, would you sack Pochettino if Tuchel was the replacement?
I wouldn't sack Pochettino for Tuchel.
Can't afford to.
But this doesn't sound ridiculous. I wouldn't just sack Pochettino to get Tuchel, but if we was to sack Pochettino and then things happened and then Tuchel's like, we got him in, I'd be like, okay, fair enough.
Okay.
I don't know if that made any sense at all, but like it's one of them where don't do it purposely just to get Tuchel, but if he's not available, like it's a good one to have. And you know, going back to X's isn't always a bad thing. We all know this.
It's kind of like two. It's sort of like
we all know this.
It's sort of like two exes realizing how good they had it with one another. It's like,
I'm sorry, right?
Tuchel.
Everyone has these exes, right? I'll go on a rant here. Mourinho.
Mourinho.
I'd go back to Mourinho 10, 15 times.
Yeah.
I'd probably go back to Tuchel about 2-3 times. Someone like Villas Boas, I would not go back
No.
like ever. Same
What
with
about
Scolari.
Rafa?
Sometimes it's okay to catch up with an ex. Sometimes it's okay to, maybe broaden your horizon with an ex. Maybe Tuchel's that ex, who knows?
I
But,
mean, I think, look, I'll be the devil's advocate. Tuchel's performances our performances in his final days, they weren't great. It wasn't as dire as you'd sort of say our current situation, but it wasn't what you'd also call smooth sailing. Our boat was sort of going under and we had hungry sharks on the one side and angry penguins on the other. We got 3-0 defeats, I remember, to Southampton.
But he did
Leeds.
still love us.
He
That's
did.
the main thing.
We were awful against Zagreb. And then obviously there was rumours he lost the dressing room. Players didn't like him. And it's tempting, to speculate that the ownership, transition fueled maybe some of these issues and change was obviously on the horizon. But I mean, maybe hindsight reveals that his dismissal wasn't the best move. Obviously, we didn't have any planning and we've got current struggles, but he's not been great at Bayern. They looked into that title last season.
Yeah, Dortmund threw it away.
Yeah, let's remember that. Dortmund lost the title. Bayern didn't win it. That's the thing. So, Right, final question. Julian has asked, does Cucurella still have a place in our squad? In your
Well,
opinion?
he has to now. We've got
Yeah.
Is he fit?
He's in training, but he's played no
Good
minutes,
enough.
so
We'll rush him back.
So instead of playing an academy player, Pochettino is going to throw him in against Newcastle 100%.
I think I would rather Cucurella there than Colwell. I think Colwell looks good at centre
It
back.
doesn't matter. He's injured as well.
Yeah, but like if you used to pick of like who'd you probably rather at left back, you'd probably pick Cucurella, wouldn't you? I think over Colwell.
I think people probably give Cucurella a bit of a hard time for the period before he was injured. He was actually very good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
He kind of turned a corner in his Chelsea career a little bit. So with any luck, he can bring that back because let's be honest, we need to be able to get some money for him when we sell him.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Lone Army Carousel time. Rules are simple. I give the team a category. They give me an answer that fits into that category. And this week, it should have been last week's, but I mixed it up, but it doesn't matter. The category is Manchester Derbies. And I just want you to name something. It's really easy. I just want you to name the top 18 goal scorers in Premier League only Manchester Derbies. And I haven't updated it from the most recent one, so I'd best quickly add the goal scorers on before I say the wrong amount of goals.
Is this just in the Premier League or
just Premier
overall?
League? Just Premier League.
Premier League.
As I quickly rush back to select who scored. Oh, okay. Now I know. Okay. That's all good. I know. So I can update the spreadsheet. Hang on. There we go. Right. we will go Berth and we'll start with Berth. It's obvious, yeah. So yeah, Berth then Ollie. So go on, Berth.
I'm up first, yeah.
You're up
I'm going
first.
with Wayne Rooney.
8 goals.
Sergio Aguero.
8 goals.
I want to go with Marcus Rashford.
4
It's a good
goals. Oh, 5. Got 5 because he scored, didn't he, on Sunday? And I didn't update that one. 5.
That's a bit of a. He's not been here for very long, but Haaland.
6.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. He's crushed everyone, hasn't he?
I want to go with Phil Foden.
6.
Cantona.
7.
Wow, I wasn't sure.
7.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Paul Scholes.
5.
Risk. Wow.
David Beckham.
Oh, Berth's 1. Early win.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Can you
Come on.
name any others? I'm really gutted that you didn't name the first name that came to my mind when I read that question. I already had one name, and it was a City striker, and I don't think he'll be the one that most people would go to. It's because it's my earliest memory of a Manchester derby.
I don't know, like Njeko or something.
He's on there.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah. I was going to say someone like Andy Cole, to be honest, next.
No, he's not on there.
Okay.
Tevez.
Tevez is not on there.
I'm surprised
David
because he
Silva?
played for both.
David Silva is on there. He got 4.
Is Mahrez on
Yeah.
there?
Mahrez is not.
Yaya Toure.
Yes, he's got 3.
Benjani.
No.
Oh.
No.
Didn't Wilfred Bonny play for City?
He did, but he didn't do very well.
Well, I don't know. He could have got a few, couldn't he?
What about Noel Quinn?
Niall Quinn is on there with 4.
Sterling.
Yes.
No.
Sterling. Wow, that's.
I'm really shocked that you've not named. I mean, 2 of them are very, very famous names.
Go on, put us out of our misery.
De
I've won
Bruyne,
anyway,
I
so
don't
it
know.
don't matter.
Right, you could have had Andrea Kanchelskis with 4.
I don't
Anthony
think Ollie would have got
Martial.
that.
No,
Anthony
I wouldn't.
Martial with 5.
That's a weird one though. Like, I'm never going to say Martial over Sterling. Am I?
Cristiano Ronaldo with 3.
Ronaldo
fair
was.
enough. That's an obvious
Ronaldo.
one. But I went with Beckham. I thought he would have scored a couple.
Gets better.
Oh.
Darren Fletcher, not the commentator, with 3. Kevin De
Bellamy?
Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne with 3. The other famous one that I can't believe you forgot, Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, rude. The problem is though,
Yeah.
carry on, Mikey.
No. Go on.
Obviously, it's a bit difficult because Man City haven't always been in the Prem, so
That is fair.
the gap is quite difficult to judge sort of who was where sort of thing. So
Yeah, that's fair.
I would
mean,
anyway, so it don't matter. But
I mean, you're better off guessing the Man United lot, aren't they? Because they've been better for longer. But...
yeah,
this is my actual earliest memory, and it was the last derby at Main Road, and it was Man City 3, Man United 1. Anelka scored one of the 3 goals. Can you remember the strike partner who scored the other 2? This is the one player I always remember with City. So this is a throwback to
what year was this?
2002.
John Gota.
Yes,
Yeah,
one
This
of
is when
my. I loved him.
he dispossessed Gary Neville, didn't he? And then
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not
I-
surprised.
Yeah.
Fraud.
I feel like he's such an underrated gem. He played for Man
Now, that
United.
is-
Well, he was contracted to Man United, but
That's a cult hero, that is, isn't it?
yeah,
Sean
I mean,
Gota.
he
Wow.
did score a decent amount of goals for City. He's kind of one
Feed
of
the
their
goat.
and
Feed
he
the
will
goat.
score.
Exactly.
mean,
exactly.
Oh man, I have a lot of love for that guy, even though he never played for Chelsea. But yeah, right there we go. End of another episode. Thank you for listening. As always, treat yourself well. We'll be back on Tuesday because Monday Night Football, so that's going to be a busy one. Maybe we'll have a team. You know, who knows? We might forfeit and do a 3-0 because of injuries. It's always an injury crisis for us. So till then, that'll be us signing off. You've been listening to At The Bridge Pod, a Chelsea FC podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram by searching for At The Bridge Pod. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leaving us a review is always appreciated.